Hey, Kathy, it's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Elisha. Thanks for having me.
Beautiful, and thank you so very much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. And Kathy, oftentimes I love to thank my guest for two things, okay? And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. That's because I feel like it's important. So, firstly, Kathy, I want to say thank you for investing in yourself. You see, you are on this platform right now because you invested in yourself. And oftentimes, Kathy, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, some months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, there was this tall, unattractive mango tree. And I use the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it, and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Kathy, just recently I was on that same road, and this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree. You see, the mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance, and immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches. It was a beautiful moment that day, a very special one at that. I was so excited. Here is my point. The fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Kathy that you are today, that alone has made it really impossible for me to say no to you. And getting to read about you, the things that you do, your insight, your philosophies, the impact your work is having, those fruits now, I couldn't let go of that, you see. And I just couldn't wait for this conversation to happen. And here we are today with the amazing Kathy. So thank you so very much for investing in yourself. And thank you so very much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Thank you.
Elijah, so much gratitude I feel here. It is an honor and a gift to be here as well. I recognize the abundance and the fruits of our labor and the abundance of the mango tree and how much it gives to us all. Thank you.
That's beautiful. I love that. So let's get started, Kathy. I'm quite excited to have you on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Kathy, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge, but the application of it. And Kathy, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness means ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm excited to have the amazing Kathy on the show is for the sake of the audience. Kathy, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So for that reason, Kathy, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or professional journey, because right now we are just so curious. We want to know how Kathy got here. Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Kathy, over to you.
Thank you so much, Elisha. And I have been on a very unique journey. I am here in the foothills west of Denver, Colorado. I'm very blessed to be in the mountains right now in a very tranquil setting. It's not always been that way. I am the founder of an organization called Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance, and I founded it because it launches from my own personal experience where I found that by temporarily renting out my sacred space, my sanctuary in the foothills here in the mountains for just 1 year, a tenant came in there and he destroyed the home by manufacturing and smoking meth, consuming it by smoking methamphetamine. And I never even knew that that was a dangerous substance. It's a dangerous toxicity to all of our internal spaces, not only our bodies if we were to consume it, but from the residue that it releases. It releases a toxins that's dangerous to our health, our loved ones, and our finances. And so that's why I'm here today, is to bring that awareness, to be that conduit, to help prevent it from happening to others.
Amazing. Wow. I never knew that. I never knew that. Okay, it's getting interesting. And thank you so very much for sharing that. So that's going to lead to the first question. All right, I'm still a bit curious. What led you to advocate for meth toxin awareness?
That's a great question. A lot of people, when they have something that happens in their lives and they're impacted, they deal with it and then they move on. But for me, I spent 3 decades in an arena that's associated with real estate as an affiliate in the lending, the financing of properties, as well as the banking industry, finance in general. And yet I had never even heard about meth toxins in my own profession. So that was my call to action, is to bring awareness through education, to affect legislative changes and advocate for others that have been impacted, and to provide resources to prevent meth from happening in your world. And if you end up being impacted, to have a path, a roadmap, so to speak, in how to deal with it to mitigate your losses.
Hmm. Wow, I got that. So, what are the dangers of, meth toxins? I would love to learn more.
Uh, Another great question. It's part of what I do in a class that I teach. I do workshops all over, online as well as in person here along the Front Range, or I can travel. But what I learned is the health effects could be as mild as your eyes burning, maybe skin rashes, to
Oh,
something more severe like trouble breathing as you inhale it, to more severe issues where you have cognitive issues, you have trouble sleeping, it may accelerate your heart, you could feel fluish, to all the way to heavy toxicity from organ toxicity and organ failure.
wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot.
Okay.
And and
Ah.
and one of our most susceptible um, one of our most susceptible people are children and infants, because as an adult, as a man or as a woman, grown sizes, our bodies tolerate higher levels than our infants and our children. So the same amount of toxic exposure could have a much more severe impact to them, or somebody like me who's immune compromised, or I'm not young anymore, in my senior ages, we could also have a higher impact to meth toxicity. And it's something that you cannot smell, you can't necessarily see it, you don't even know it's there, but it seeps into our pores and it gets into our bodies through breathing it, and through transfer that way.
Amazing. Okay, there is something that I believe is very, very inevitable, which is challenges. So, as an advocate for this stuff, this meth
Mhm.
toxin awareness, how has the journey been? Can you share maybe some stuff that has occurred, and like challenges and trials, and how you overcame them?
Sure. I think one of the biggest challenges is that I learned that we put these protections in place with our properties, whether they're our homes or our commercial properties, but insurance does not cover the damage caused by meth contamination usually. Globally, there may be some policy endorsements that you can purchase, but in the United States, 9.9% of the time, our insurance policies exclude the damage caused when somebody consumes meth, and it creates a problem. Um, the other real big issue is that there's a lack of awareness, Elijah. not just here in the States, but it's a global issue. Meth usage is still very much an epidemic global issue. And so the people don't understand that the residue left over from meth is highly dangerous to all of us, our pets, our plants, our people, our loved ones, and our properties. And so it's overcoming uh, the naiveness that anybody can be impacted, that it's not just something that happens when you have a low income, high crime, high drug use area or environment, that it is can happen anywhere and everywhere.
Hmm, I got that. I got that. And okay, for home buyers now, because it's a very important one. How can home buyers detect meth contamination?
Another great question. I love your questions today, Elisha. Um, there are ways that you
Thank
can
you.
test a property. That's one of the things that I talk about and advocate for, is no matter what home you are buying, what property you are buying, to test for meth before you buy it as part of your due diligence when you do other types of inspections. Looking for somebody that is an expert in your area is the first and foremost place to go. They have special testing um, uh, equipment that they use, and then they potentially can use labs to do the follow-up work. But if you can't find that in your area globally, you're in a rural area or it's just not available, you can buy test kits online. Some are better than others, and I'm not here to endorse any one in particular company, but I've heard from the experts that AccuMeth is one of the better, more reliable single swab type of tests where you can at least get a pass or a fail right there within a few minutes after you do a swab and test for meth in a particular indoor space.
Mm, that's a great relief. Okay, so what should someone do if they suspect meth contamination?
Right. Good question. First and foremost is you don't want to expose yourself to that area very much. And then you want to see if you can have it tested as quickly as possible. Reduce or minimize your exposure of going into the property. But if you suspect it, I think one of the first things you have to do is wear PPE equipment, like a hazmat suit with a breathing apparatus that'll keep you from ingesting it, and coveralls that cover your whole body. So the things that you touch, you're wearing gloves and whatnot. I had a very strong reaction when I went into my home. Other people had a milder reaction, and so it varies from person to person. So minimal, if not fully, don't expose yourself to the environment. And getting it tested is first and foremost. You have to establish a baseline of where it's at, and then there's certain areas like the ventilation systems, the HVAC systems, the cold air returns. If you're living in a building that has multi-units, this residue transfers wherever air transfers. It goes through ventilation systems, air ducts, attic spaces, elevator shafts, anywhere where air travels, meth toxicity can travel. So even if you're not engaging in recreational or addictive use in a property, it could come from an adjoining unit or through common areas and get into your unit. So it's very important to test before you buy.
Wow. I say, just like I mentioned before we started, I said, I am totally convinced that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. And that's just how it is. You see, learning stops here. Thank you so very much, Kathy. Thank you. Okay, so what resources are available for those affected by meth toxins
Right.
rather?
Once you find out that you may be in an environment that has a level of meth in it, you have to seek out the advice and the guidance from those who are experts in remediating, removing that meth from the internal space. It may be mild enough where it could be washed off with the right products and extracted from the surfaces. Hard surfaces could be washed, but porous surfaces like drywall and carpets, drapes, furniture. A lot of those things have to be furniture and drapes and things like that have to be potentially either washed multiple times or thrown away. You just have to pitch that. Clothes can be washed, but sometimes the meth levels could be so high in a property that you just have to gut that property all the way down to the studs. You have to remove the drywall, remove the insulation. It's very costly. Remove the flooring, clean the ventilation systems, or actually replace it. In the case of my home, though, it was a cabin. It was a wood structure. It was a restored 1956 cabin. So it didn't have drywall that you could take down to the studs. It had log beams, and those things are wood absorbed. And even though they're coated, they had lots of beautiful cracks and crevices that added to the beauty of the log and the wood. And so it couldn't be gutted like that. And sometimes those properties take a different path. And if people want to learn more, they can reach out to me and we can have a conversation, and I could try to guide them best as I can. In depending upon where they're from. We're obviously talking to a global audience today, so there's
That's right.
going to be a lot of options in different places.
Exactly. And that's why I love what you're doing. You see, educating folks and bringing this awareness. It's amazing because I haven't heard about this stuff before. And if you didn't come on a show today now, I might not hear about it today. So it's amazing getting to learn stuff like this and how to avoid it and things to do. It's amazing. I like that. But we still have two more questions to go. So what is the most surprising fact about meth contamination?
Well, I think one of the most surprising facts that I've learned here in the United States is only half of our nations even have any policies or regulations around the dangers and the levels of meth contamination. Half of our states have zero at all. It's not on their radar through their state or their county health departments, and it really needs to be, because a lot of those states have a lot of usage and people are being affected, and it seems to be one of those things that is just taking a blind eye right now.
Wow. Okay, the last one. So how does meth contamination compare to other environmental hazards?
Sure. I mean, here in the United States, it's traditional when you buy a property to do a physical inspection with a property inspector, and you go through the systems like the water and the heating system or air conditioning, things like that, to check for physical defects, check the roof and all sorts of things. They also check for other contaminants like asbestos, which is in our building products and has been banned since. It's very dangerous, asbestos, as well as lead, radon, and mold. Mold is very dangerous, and when water leaks happen. But meth is not given the same courtesy that it needs to, where it becomes part of top of mind, where it should be something that you test for before you close on any property as part of your due diligence.
So to bring this to an end, Kathy, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those folks who would like to learn more about these beautiful stuff we've been talking about, or even ask questions or inquiries, how can that be possible?
I appreciate you asking that. Two things. One is that I do believe that this is legacy work, Elijah. I believe that what we do today with our properties carries on as a legacy to not only our wealth that we transfer on to our loved ones. I'm a grandma now, and my home was going to be my legacy to my children and my grandchildren. But I believe this is legacy work on how we show up today has a profound impact for generations to come when it comes to meth contamination and how we take a proactive step. I encourage people to reach out to me. I have a website, methoxinsalliance.com. I also wanted to let people know, I don't have it here with me today, I lent it out, but there's a preventative tool now that I I help represent. It's called the Meth Alarm, and you can find it at methtocsinsalarm.com. Learn more about how this smart alarm can literally, while I'm talking to you today, it could be sitting in another property somewhere. And if there was meth usage or worse, it would ping me. It's a smart alarm. It has amazing
Wow.
technology, and it's preventative. So if you let people know, if you're an investor or you have commercial properties, things like that, or you're a builder and you want to make sure that the homes you're building or the commercial spaces you're building are safe, you can put these alarms in it to deter people from using meth inside. Just let them go somewhere else or let them go outside. So please reach out to me for any type of information through my website, through my email, Kathi at methtocsinsalliance.com. That's Kathi with an I. And I welcome a conversation and a way that we could help support you in your environments, in your world, and in your legacies to keep you and your loved ones safe.
Beautiful, beautiful. I've got a clap for you, Kathy. That's a beautiful one. So that's gonna be the end of the show, Kathy. Thank you for coming and thank you for sharing these beautiful stuffs with us, opening our eyes to these amazing things. I tell you, it means a whole lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Elijah. I have so much gratitude for being here and being a conduit for this information for prevention. I really do. Thank you for having me.